Good morning, ladies. And I'm so excited to be here. It's Carol Laurie, Empowered Against Recurrence, Empowered Through Treatment, and Empowered Approach Towards Breast Cancer. Empowerment is the word. And talking about empowerment, I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Debra Atkinson, who is the CEO of her program, Flipping 50. And she has an empowered approach to exercise, lifting weights, which I do all the time. And she's here to, it's not just a haphazard thing that you think you're doing this right. There's a lot of information you need to know to do it right. So Debra, welcome and thank you for being here with us.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I know this is a special group and you take excellent care of them. So it's an honor to be here.
As you do to the women that are in your program. So tell us about, there is what I call the couch potato syndrome, which is when you don't feel well, it's hard to get off the couch and start exercising or start what I call positive movement. How do women start? And talk about the right and the quote unquote unright or wrong or way that you could get injured that women need to avoid.
Yeah, great question. And I think we want to break that into several pieces because so much of the time, if you're a midlifer, for sure, the first inclination will be that we need to do some kind of cardiovascular exercise. And although I do agree with you, and I think we're on the same page, movement is very important and getting it in any way you can with, I think the term now is exercise snacks. Whether
really? I never heard of that before.
5 minutes or it's 10 minutes of movement throughout the day, in order to increase gradually your strength, your endurance, your stamina, so that it still feels good, even when you stop. And I think that's a big, important factor. You should feel good when you finish, not wasted, not taxed or drained, but actually feel good. And that can be a new thing to women who are certainly in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, and who were, growing up told, you leave it all on the floor, you have to work yourself to death or be drained in order for it to do some good. And I think certainly with this group, that's definitely not true. We want to gain the strength so that we've got it in all areas, and for healing specifically and mindset. So moving is kind of level one. Level two would be, let's go to strength training as opposed to do more cardiovascular exercise, because of the benefit of strength training to your posture, to your overall energy, your stamina, and, not to go missed, but it's the way you carry yourself. And I think that changes so much. And when you feel stronger, literally, and have more endurance, literally, then you feel like you can do more of the things that you love. And the whole idea is, I'm an exercise pusher. I want you to be codependent. I want you to love it. I want you to want to love it and do some more. And that's the way we do it, by making it pleasurable and the benefits almost immediate, not far off down the road.
I like what you said about the way you carry yourself, because I know my mom, as she was older, had a hunch.
Yeah.
And I think there is a physical component to that, but I think there's a big psychological component to that, because the body and the mind match. And if you're empowered, if you're feeling strong, if you're enjoying your life, that curve will be much less than if you're like a victim of osteoporosis or breast cancer or any other illness. So I think what you just said about posture and the way we carry ourselves is really important.
Well, and there are studies showing that we don't know which comes first, the chicken or the egg. When you think of someone who is grieving or fatigued or tired, we typically we come down, we've got forward head hang, and we're rounded forward, kind of internal. And that actually compromises you physically. So the emotion may cause the posture, but it's also true that if you can cause the posture to be different, even if for 30 minutes while you're exercising, some of that will carry over to mood and mindset benefit.
I'm writing here, you can uncause the posture.
Yeah.
By changing your mindset. right?
Absolutely. Yes.
So what's the third level?
So the third level is at some point adding high intensity interval training. But really, the missing point, I hope that all of you heard or didn't hear, was endurance training. Really, for most of us, unless you are someone who absolutely loves and thrives in it, and yet for even you, there may be a time when that is not what your body actually wants, needs, or will thrive doing. And I'm in that camp. Having not had necessarily a huge health issue, I realized that there was a time when I just crossed a threshold and my body no longer really responded well to endurance training. Although up here, I seem to think I still need it. So I work with that demon all the time.
What is endurance training? Let's define that, because I mean, for someone who's not exercise savvy, I
Yeah.
think people understand what strength training is, and but
Yes.
I don't. What is endurance training, and how does it differ from strength training?
Yeah, so if we go way off on the deep end, it's endurance training is training for those longer, 6K or 10K runs, but it's really relevant to you or to me. So for those of us who haven't been exercising, thinking you should go and do something for an hour, that potentially would put your body into, I'm in endurance training. And there's actually more muscle wasting that can occur when you're doing long endurance training, and there's worse oxidative damage. So, if you truly want to look at what can reverse oxidative damage, it is actually low level movement, moving more, and strength training under controlled circumstances. So, we're not doing it for hours at a time, we're doing a high quality workout, and then we're done and we recover adequately, and we only do 2 of them a week, and that's been
Oh,
proven
really?
to, yeah, help reduce oxidative stress, which it's said this. So in this way, strength training is the only type of exercise that can actually reverse the effects of aging.
I have to write that down because that's a big concern. But interesting for me, there's a couple things you just said. First of
Yeah.
all, oxidative stress is for me, as someone who works with breast cancer, a critical phrase
Yeah.
because radiation and chemotherapy create especially radiation, create enormous amounts of oxidative stress. And
Mhm.
this is the other side of medical oncology, breast cancer, that medical oncology doesn't really address. It's okay, you have these treatments, which you've chosen, which are necessary for you, create
Mhm.
oxidative stress. Where I come in, which is really important, is guess what? We can reduce that oxidative stress with
Mhm.
functional nutrition, supplements, and what Deborah is talking about. Exercise, positive movement is a critical component. And I often talk about beginning with 5 minutes. So when I first started getting my body back in gear, I live in a very hilly neighborhood, and I walked outside and immediately had a hill, and I went out for 5 minutes and back for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And I could have said, oh, you're just, a couch potato, forget it, it's not worth it. But the next day I was out there, and the
Mhm.
next day and the next day. And at the end of the week, I was able to do 10 minutes out and 10 minutes back. And now I do between 2 and 3 miles several times a week. And I've just started adding my weights. I look ridiculous, but I love it. So I think what you're saying about, doing this high intensity a couple times a week in the right order is really important for women to understand.
Yes. And it's listening to your body and where you are right now so that you really have at the end of the workout, I finished feeling like I could have done more, but it's okay to stop the workout feeling in that way and very gradually begin to push the envelope. So especially smart when you're healing and or you're starting to get into it at first, because there is some science that says the older we get, in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, or beyond, we have fewer of the pleasure receptors that occur. We hear about the exercise high or the endorphins. We don't have as many of those working for us. So you want to look for them in other ways of listening to music that you love, maybe walking with a friend that you love, looking forward to that as well. But there are other ways to increase your serotonin, your dopamine, and those feel good hormones that will help you embellish the reaction that you have to the exercise. But if you're feeling like you're just flat, you don't quite feel that same thing you did, there is a reason for it.
Well, that's interesting. So if we don't do it in the right order for the right amount of time, it can actually emotionally make us feel worse.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
So a woman who is recovering from breast cancer treatment and doesn't feel so great, which is really common, where should she start, and where in your program? Let's talk about the programs that you offer.
Mhm.
Which one? Where should she start? I know you're offering a special right now. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we're open just for a few more short days. So we start the strength begins April 1st, and it's called Stronger for a reason, right? Clear is better than clever all the time. um, you'll never see me post a before and after picture. We cherish the internal changes really,
Mhm.
but it's twice a week. And the reason for that is manyfold, really, when we're talking to women who may be in midlife or who are recovering, like this group in any age and stage, and need to definitely build up, buff up, but do so dancing with where's my energy right now, and how do I feel and what's going on for me. So we do twice a week, allowing plenty of recovery in between. The science has always been a little iffy on this, but the rumor that got passed is every 48 hours. That's actually the research always stated at least 48 hours of recovery. And what we've learned is that for adults over about 40, there's a point where you actually do better with 72 hours of recovery. So instead of that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you may have done at one point in your life, doing a Monday, Thursday, for instance, schedule for strength training just twice a week, just keeping those steady gives you at least that 2 full days in between to fully recover. We have to remember exercise is a breakdown activity. So you're breaking down muscle, you're causing mini micro tears. And that sounds maybe terrible, but that's what's supposed to happen, because then it's in the rest and recovery in between that the body gets stronger, that the muscle repairs itself, but not just to where it was, to a little bit stronger. And that's how you start with 3 pounds, then you can pick up 5, or you started with 5 and then you can pick up 8 because
Started
you're
with 1 and now I'm up to 3 or 5. I mean,
there you go, right?
I started with
Exactly.
0 for a long time. I mean, it was
Yep.
just enough to get my body up those hills and be
Yep.
able to breathe. But I think I think mindset is a very big part of this, which is why I really encourage everyone to, and I'm going to post the link here, to, hi Nicole, to Deborah's program, because I did send out an email. I'm going to send out another email to all of you on my list. I think mindset is critical, and in our society there are these major things you need to do, and nobody talks about having a coach to help you. It's sort of like you're supposed to do Dr. Google or research Google or do something online, and all of a sudden you're going to do it. Well, it doesn't work like that.
Mm-hmm.
Change is not easy. You need a coach. You need someone like Deborah to really help you know that you're safe. You're doing it in the right order. You're not going to like go from 0 to high intensity and then, tweak your neck with a too heavy of a weight or pull
Mm-hmm.
an arm muscle. We need to like do this in the right way.
Amen. Yes. And I think a lot of women, men too potentially, but I think women take this on more because we've always been the caregivers, and we think somehow that we should be able to figure it out on our own. And there's a little pride or maybe a little ego with that. And yet there are so many modifications, there are so many offerings that, it would be, a part-time job to sort out what
Oh,
it is that I should actually do and what it is that I shouldn't. And there are a lot of great marketers out there marketing fitness products or services that don't necessarily have the delivery behind them and truly desire to help. So it's a, you know, it's a battlefield, and you do have to sort out, is this a voice I could trust? Is this someone that I could listen to? But it's not just a list of exercises. Boy, I love those workout of the days posted. I'm like, if that were personal training, why are we not all fit? You know, why, if that worked, we can all read. Like, why would we not be doing that? There's just so much more involved. And it's also how do you set yourself up? Where should your weight be? Where should you feel the work? Where should you not feel the work? And the little nuances that help you be comfortable, but also focus on the right muscles and not on the wrong ones.
In the right order.
Exactly. Very true.
Because you can easily hurt your back. I mean, you know, or you think that you're doing this right with the 5-pound weights and you've never lifted weights before. And the next thing you know, you've tweaked your neck muscles and you've pulled your deltoid out of alignment. And, you know, you're just going, forget this, I'm never going to exercise. And you go back to being a couch potato. So I think that having coaches for specific areas of your health is so smart. Mm. And people say to me, well, it's too much money. You know what's too much money? Not feeling well and going to the doctor who is disease treated. They'll treat you, they'll quote unquote treat you. They'll give you some pain medication for your shoulder or your neck, but they won't help set you in realignment. And then you're going to be in pain and need to see the acupuncturist or the chiropractor. You can avoid all of that by, you know, working with someone such as Debra, who I've known for like 7 years. We've known each other through this wonderful community of Mindshare. So I know that what she's doing is of the highest quality, and she is an expert in her field. And notice the phrase flipping 50. We're not a group of 20-year-olds in here, ladies. You know, we're midlife and beyond. I'm in the beyond category of midlife. So, but I'm out there exercising and I'm out there taking my supplements, and I'm going to be vibrant when I'm 80 and many, many years, but it's going to be here before we know it. So I want to encourage everyone to make a smart decision, and I will post in this Facebook page and my private group, once again, the link to Debra's program, which starts at the April 1st. It's a good day to start. It's the beginning of the month.
No fooling. Yes.
Any last words of wisdom for the women here about, like, you know, I've been a couch potato. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Or what if I can't keep up? Or what if I'm not in good enough shape? What about, how can we encourage women to not feel badly if they're not already superwoman? Which
you're encouraged to do what you can do. So number one, the weight you select will be the thing that determines how hard or how easy this is. Maybe you want to start with nothing in your hands or soup cans, just something very light so that you're doing slightly more than you were doing yesterday. And then we take in the data for how did my body feel after I did that? And we know we can go forward, we need to stay right here, or maybe we need to go back and do a little less weight. So you're perfectly capable, if you are going through daily activities of a living, of starting. And I like to think of it this way. You know, I don't know how old you are here, but if you take your age and you add 20 years to it, and you plan on being here in 20 years, 20 years from now, I mean, imagine how old you are now and subtract 20 years from that. You know, at 38, I probably thought 58 was old. And now, if I look back, there are a few things that I might be able to say, I wish I would have started, or imagine had I started then, right? So at 38, I was very young, right? Now I'm thinking, and add 20 years or 30 years to your current age, you may wish at that point you had gotten started, right? It is the exact same from 60 to 30 as it is from 90 to 30 or 90 to 60.
You know, a big draw for me, as my daughter said to me, who is 27 and a second-year medical student, and she said, Mom, I don't want you to be in a wheelchair like Granny was, which is my mother, at the end of her life. And I went, no, I'm not. That's not going to be me. And that was like, okay, I'm out there at those hills several times a week. And it's never too late you don't be in a wheelchair. You can be 80 and 90 and older and be in vibrant health. And that's what Debra and I are really messaging to you all, because we don't see that message in our American advertising. It's all about you let yourself deteriorate, you take a pill, and then that's how and then you're still sick. So I think that there is a lot to be said about what Debra is. What we do right this moment keeps us from being in a wheelchair.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we know so much more now than we ever have. We are it collectively, changing the way people age. We know we don't have to lose muscle mass. We don't have to lose more bone density. We can hold on to what we've got if we're doing the right things. And it's not just for us. I think there's no more important health influencer in the world than a midlife or slightly older woman, because of the generations she influences, her daughters, her in-laws, her nieces, her own peers, and then often still having parents or in-laws who look to you for advice. No politician has that kind of influence. And it starts with, what are you doing? What message are you sending?
What message are you sending to yourself? It starts with yourself.
Yes.
How are you going to take care of yourself so you can then present yourself to others in the world of who you are and how you are in yourself? I mean, that is such an empowered stance. I love that word, and I love your work, Debra, and thank you so much. And I will post again here on the Facebook page and the Facebook group. I'm going to send out another email, and I really encourage women to make a very smart decision for yourself and join Debra's group, which is beginning in April. It's hard to believe it's April. So excited. Yes. Thank you for being here, Debra, and talking to my community and for everything. And we'll hopefully see each other this year at Mindshare.
Absolutely. All right. And hope to see you.
Have a lovely day, everyone. This is Carol Laurie signing off for now, and join Debra's program because it's starting really soon. Bye for now.